You know that feeling. Your legs just don't quite cooperate like they used to, even though you're eating well, trying to stay active. Stairs maybe feeling a little steeper, getting out of that chair, needing a bit more, well.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people, especially over 65, start to notice. You're definitely not alone there.
And okay, some changes are just part of getting older. I get that. But what if, and this is what we're diving into today, what if a seemingly healthy habit, like your daily fruit, could actually be playing a role? A surprising one.
It's a really important point to consider. As we age, our bodies, well, they shift. Things change. And how we process food, that changes too. We hear so much about what not to eat, the usual things. But today we're looking at something less obvious. These potential quiet errors in our diet involving fruit, something we all think is just plain healthy.
Exactly. For years we've heard fruit, natural vitamins. What could possibly be wrong? But the sources we looked at for this deep dive, they suggest something kind of counterintuitive, specifically for those of us maybe 65 and up. That some really common fruits might be, well, subtly messing with our leg strength, contributing to knee pain, maybe even aggravating joint issues.
And it's so important to stress, this isn't about you not doing enough. You might be really careful with your health. What our sources highlight are those physiological changes. Things like maybe slightly weaker circulation, metabolism slowing down a bit, and that can change how our bodies react to certain foods, even the healthy ones.
Right, so it's not about neglect, it's maybe a habit you thought was great for you. And today we're going to get into what our sources call out as 7 fruits that might not be the best friends to aging legs. Now I know saying a fruit is bad sounds weird, but understanding this, it could really help protect your mobility, your comfort long-term. Okay, so where should we start? Pineapple. That's one people often mention for inflammation, right?
Yeah, pineapple, it has this reputation largely because of an enzyme called bromelain for being anti-inflammatory, so it seems like a fantastic choice. But when we look specifically through the lens of, say, someone over 65, some potential issues do pop up.
And the unexpected twist, according to our research, is it's the sugar and the acid.
Exactly. Pineapple is naturally quite high in sugar, and it's pretty acidic too. Now, as we get older, our bodies sometimes become, let's say, less efficient at handling blood sugar. So that concentrated natural sugar in pineapple, it can cause a pretty quick spike in blood glucose. And if that happens often over time, those spikes can stress the tiny blood vessels, the ones feeding your legs and feet.
Okay, that makes sense, stressing the blood vessels.
Yeah, and that can potentially mean less oxygen getting through, which might lead to feelings of, pain, tiredness, even some swelling down there.
That reduced blood flow connection really clicks for those nagging leg issues. What about the acid part? How does that fit in?
Well, the acidity in pineapple, it can be a bit of an irritant, especially if you already have some joint inflammation or arthritis, which, let's face it, is more common as we age. So that acid might just aggravate those already sensitive spots in your ankles, hips, knees, make things feel worse.
So you might actually feel it, like a heaviness.
Some people do report that, yeah. A kind of heaviness or just less go in their legs after eating pineapple.
And our sources also flag that bromelain, the anti-inflammatory thing, it also has mild blood thinning effects.
Definitely something to be aware of if you're taking blood thinning medication. Good point.
But the key thing seems to be that it's gradual. It's not like you eat pineapple and instantly your legs hurt.
That's exactly it. It's subtle. Because it doesn't hit you over the head, it's easy to miss the connection. You could be eating it regularly thinking, this is good for me, while it's quietly maybe contributing to leg weakness or discomfort over months or years.
Okay, pineapple, good intentions. Maybe not the best outcome for older legs due to sugar and acid. Got it. Let's move to another popular one. Bananas.
Yeah.
Packed with potassium, right? Good for stopping cramps. The muscle fruit.
Bananas definitely wear that health halo, energy, muscle health, potassium. But our sources suggest, again, for the over 65s, we need to look a bit closer, especially regarding leg health.
Okay, so what's the worry with bananas? Is it the sugar again?
Yes, the high natural sugar is part of it, but also the carbs in bananas. They digest really quickly, so you get that fast rise in blood sugar. And if that happens frequently, day after day, it can contribute to something called insulin resistance over time.
Insulin resistance. And that has a knock-on effect on legs. How?
Absolutely. When your body doesn't respond to insulin as well, it can mess with blood flow, and it can increase inflammation basically everywhere, including your legs. That might show up as that sort of persistent dull ache or heaviness, maybe even stiffness in your calves that some older folks really struggle with.
And our sources brought up fluid retention with bananas too. I know that's a worry for some, maybe with heart issues.
That's a really significant point. Yeah. Fluid retention can make joints feel stiff. It can also cause swelling in the feet and ankles, which obviously makes moving around less comfortable.
Right.
So while we think bananas are good for muscles, for older adults, eating them often might actually be, well, silently working against keeping legs strong and comfy.
There's that subtle long-term thing again. You don't feel it right away, but maybe over time. Okay, next up, grapes. Little bursts of sweetness, seen as light, healthy, maybe even heart healthy. What's the catch for aging legs?
Grapes definitely have that healthy image. Antioxidants, good for the heart. They seem so harmless, right? Easy to snack on. But our sources point to a potential issue, especially for older adults. The fructose content. It's quite high in grapes.
Fructose. That's a fruit sugar, right. So what's the specific problem with grapes and fructose?
Well, fructose is mostly handled by the liver. And as we age, sometimes the liver isn't quite as efficient at processing really large amounts of it. When it gets a bit overwhelmed, it can lead to an increase in fat production, but also, importantly, uric acid production.
Uric acid. That rings a bell. Isn't that linked to gout? Joint problems.
Precisely. High uric acid levels can cause those sharp little crystals to form in joints, often the toes, ankles, knees. And that leads to those awful flare-ups, intense burning pain, swelling, makes walking incredibly painful.
Wow.
That sudden pain in your big toe at night. Or maybe unexpected calf stiffness. Could potentially be linked back to uric acid from, say, eating a lot of grapes regularly.
I would never have connected grapes to that kind of pain.
And it's not just about gout. Fructose can also feed into more general, low-level chronic inflammation throughout the body. That kind of background inflammation can make joints feel sluggish, stiffer, put more pressure on hips and knees. Plus, let's be honest, it's super easy to just keep popping grapes, right? They're small, so the sugar load can really add up fast without you even noticing.
Right. A whole bunch disappears pretty quickly. So seemingly healthy, but could be subtly causing stiffness and discomfort, really makes you think about what's in the food. Okay, let's switch gears. Watermelon. Feels like mostly water, so refreshing on a hot day. What could be the issue there for our legs?
Watermelon. Yeah, everyone thinks hydrating, low-calorie, healthy. Feels so light. But surprisingly, our sources point out its glycemic index. It's actually pretty high.
Glycemic index, right? That's how fast food spikes your blood sugar. So even though it's watery, it hits your blood sugar hard.
Exactly that. Despite all that water, it can cause a really rapid rise in blood sugar, almost like eating candy for some people. And for folks over 65 whose bodies might not manage blood sugar quite as smoothly anymore, these quick, sharp spikes can be, well, problematic for the legs.
How does that quick sugar hit affect the legs specifically?
Those frequent big surges in blood sugar can fuel inflammation. We keep coming back to inflammation, don't we?
Yeah, it seems key.
And in areas where circulation might already be a bit sluggish in older adults, like the calves, ankles, knees, this inflammation can lead to that tired leg feeling, or just a general dull discomfort, maybe some puffiness around the ankles.
Our sources used a great comparison. Climbing stairs starts to feel like climbing a mountain.
That really captures it.
And because it feels so light, you can easily eat a big slice, right? Thinking it's mostly water.
That's the deceptive part. You think you're just hydrating, but you're getting a significant sugar hit that can impact your circulation and how your legs feel.
Definitely surprising. Okay. A breakfast classic next. Oranges. Vitamin C immunity. What's the potential hidden downside for leg health as we age?
Oranges, yeah. Synonymous with vitamin C boosting your immune system. A go-to for many people in the morning. But our sources flag the citric acid content as something to be mindful of for older adults, specifically concerning leg health.
Citric acid. How does that affect legs?
Well, in moderation, it's usually fine. But the citric acid in oranges can sometimes act as an irritant to joints, especially if there's already some inflammation or stiffness or maybe arthritis going on, which is, more likely as we get older.
So it could make existing problems worse.
Potentially, yes. It might show up as, say, more stiffness in the knees first thing in the morning, or maybe a nagging hip discomfort, that ache you get in your legs after sitting for a bit, decreased mobility, maybe more swelling. Citric acid could be a quiet contributor.
And what's really frustrating, as our sources note, is thinking you're doing good, drinking that OJ every morning for health.
Exactly. And you're completely unaware it might be part of why your joints are bothering you. The thinking is the citric acid gets into your bloodstream and can potentially aggravate those delicate joint tissues. And this can be made worse by the natural sugars in oranges, which, like we've talked about, cause those blood sugar ups and downs, feeding into body-wide inflammation.
Okay.
And when that inflammation hits your legs, every step can just feel heavier, more painful.
So great for vitamin C, maybe, but the acid and sugar combo could be a hidden issue for older legs.
Right. 2 more fruits on the list. Green apples, often picked as the healthier apple, right? Less sweet. What secrets might they hold for leg pain?
Green apples, yeah, they definitely have that lower sugar reputation compared to red ones, healthier image. But our sources point to 2 things that might cause leg issues for seniors. One is malic acid, and the other is, well, even though it's less, the natural sugar is still there.
Malic acid, that's the tartness, right? How can that be a problem? Seems harmless.
Well, for younger folks with robust digestion, it usually is. But as we age, sometimes the lining of our gut gets a bit more sensitive. And for some older individuals, that malic acid from green apples can be irritating. And sometimes gut irritation can have weird knock-on effects elsewhere, including joints.
Really? So gut irritation could lead to hip pain?
It's possible, according to the sources. Some people might notice hip or thigh pain, maybe a slight warmth in their feet or knee tightness after eating green apples regularly.
And it builds up. Yeah, the sources suggest it can be a gradual accumulation, with the discomfort potentially worsening over time if you eat them often.
Okay, and the sugar, even though it's less.
Even lower sugar still causes a blood sugar response. And in someone over 65 whose metabolism might be working a bit slower, those fluctuations can still happen. And they might show up as things like tired calves, maybe those annoying nighttime leg cramps, morning leg stiffness, or just feeling weaker when you try to climb stairs.
And we often just grab one and eat it raw,
Right.
as a snack.
Exactly. So you get that frequent exposure to both the potential acid irritation and the sugar fluctuations. Seems so simple and healthy, but maybe not for everyone's legs.
Okay, last one on the list. A tropical favorite. Mango. So rich, so sweet. What's the big worry here for aging legs?
Mango. Delicious, popular, no doubt. But our sources really highlight its very high natural sugar content as a major concern for seniors. It's like a sugar explosion almost.
The sugar explosion. Okay, so the main issue is that massive blood sugar spike it can cause.
That's the core of it, yes. Mangoes can lead to a really significant, really rapid jump in blood sugar. Now, a younger, active person might handle that okay. But with the metabolic shifts after 65, the body's reaction to that sugar rush can be much more dramatic. It can trigger a big insulin spike, then often a crash. And these wild swings, they fuel inflammation, especially in the soft tissues around joints, ankles, hips, knees.
And our sources also flag something specific for people who might already have some nerve issues, like neuropathy.
Yes, that's a key concern. The inflammation driven by these big sugar spikes can potentially make existing nerve problems worse. So you might notice sensations like burning in your toes or persistent tingling, maybe feet and ankles swelling up more, especially later in the day.
Or just a heavy feeling.
Yeah, kind of creeping heaviness in the legs.
And like grapes, maybe it's easy to eat a whole mango, isn't it? Soft, tastes great.
It goes down easy, you don't feel stuffed, but the sugar impact can be huge. That's the tricky part. The ease of eating it doesn't reduce the sugar load on your system. And over time, that can really add up to joint discomfort, leg sluggishness, just making movement harder.
Wow.
It's such an important reminder, isn't it? Just because it's natural doesn't automatically mean it's the best fit for, circulation that might be slowing down or joints that have seen some wear and tear.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. A bit shocking, maybe. So, okay, we've covered 7 fruits that our sources suggest maybe we, folks over 65, should be a bit more cautious about for leg health. Pineapple, bananas, grapes, watermelon, oranges, green apples, and mangoes. But it's not all bad news, right? It's not like we have to give up fruit. There are good ones, fruits that actually help.
Absolutely. That's the positive side. While knowing about the potential downsides of those 7 is useful, there are loads of other fruits that offer fantastic benefits. Benefits for reducing inflammation, helping circulation, really supporting joint health in our legs.
Okay, that's great news. So what should we be reaching for instead? What are some of these leg-friendly fruits?
Berries. Berries are a fantastic place to start. Think blackberries, raspberries, blueberries. They are packed, absolutely packed with powerful anti-inflammatory compounds, antioxidants, and crucially, they tend to be low in sugar. much gentler on blood sugar levels.
Okay.
They can really help improve circulation, so important for legs, and might help reduce stiffness and swelling too.
Berries. Got it. Tasty and good for us. What else?
Cherries can be really beneficial, especially tart cherries. They have compounds that can help lower uric acid levels. Remember we talked about that with grapes?
Yeah, the gout connection.
Right. So cherries can help potentially lower the risk of gout flare-ups and general joint pain. They might even soothe sore joints a bit.
Okay.
Moderation is key, though. A handful is great. Maybe not the whole punnet in one go.
Cherry's good for tackling joint pain. What about something different? Not a typical fruit, maybe.
Well, how about avocado? We often think vegetable, but botanically, it's a fruit. And it's amazing for joint health. Full of those healthy fats that fight inflammation and kind of help cushion the joints.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah. Plus, it helps regulate blood sugar, gives you nice, steady energy instead of spikes and crashes.
Avocado, healthy fats, good for legs. Makes total sense. Any others?
Papaya is another excellent one. It's known for being really easy to digest. It contains enzymes like papain that help reduce inflammation and also aid digestion itself, so it's gentle all around on the stomach and the joints.
Papaya. Gentle, anti-inflammatory. Good one to remember.
And lastly, maybe pears. They can be a good choice if you want a bit of sweetness, but without being too sugary. Best enjoyed maybe with a little bit of fiber or protein, like some nuts or yogurt, to keep the energy release steady. They give you energy without putting that strain on your legs from a big sugar rush.
Okay, so it's really about making smarter swaps, isn't it? Shifting away from the fruits that might work against our bodies as we age. And choosing the ones that actively support strength, good circulation, and comfortable joints.
Exactly.
And making those changes could actually make a noticeable difference in how we feel day to day, how easily we move.
That's the goal. It's about nourishing ourselves in a way that supports our long-term health, our mobility, especially our legs.
Really?
They're our foundation.
You know, if you've listened all the way through this, it really shows you're thinking seriously about your health, your strength, your future. And the really encouraging thing is, it's genuinely not too late to make changes to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And please know, you are absolutely not alone in noticing these physical shifts as you get older. It happens to all of us.
And taking charge doesn't have to mean huge, drastic things. Often it's about these sensible, small adjustments, like rethinking your fruit choices. The 7 fruits we talked about, they aren't bad foods in some universal sense. But for your specific needs, right now, maybe over 65, they might just not be the best choices anymore for keeping your legs feeling strong and healthy.
And that feels empowering, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Getting older isn't about giving things up. It's about getting smarter, making more informed choices that really work for your body today.
Exactly.
By consciously choosing fruits that help fight inflammation and support strength, you could genuinely find you have less discomfort, more flexibility, smoother mornings maybe, lighter steps.
That's the potential upside. It's about empowering you with information to make choices that support your independence, your ability to enjoy life. Think about it. Your legs carry you everywhere. They let you do the things you love. Taking a moment to consider how your food choices impact their health, that's a really powerful step towards maintaining your well-being for years to come.